In the year 1850, the peak year when 206,041 Irish immigrants came to America, the O'Brien family was one of the many families that took the month-long journey for more opportunity. They were already impoverished, and the potato famine pushed them into a deeper state of despair. They had spent their whole lives working on what little bit of land they had, and now their way of earning money was gone. The Great Potato Famine was caused by blight that ruined the potato crop. This problem occurred to most farmers who grew the crop, since this was a widespread problem in Ireland. The disaster ruined three-quarters of the potato crops in Ireland, and continued on for a few years after its start in 1845. Sadly, the O'Brien family was left poorer than ever, and they were forced with the decision to either come to America or stay in their homeland. America was a place where streets were paved with gold, which had many advantages that caused them to want to leave. There were jobs and opportunities like no other country. The citizens had rights that nobody could take away. The Irish had not experienced freedom like this, since they had been oppressed by the powerful British government. Great Britain was limiting their help to the people in Ireland by not providing them with food that was edible and healthy in times of the famine. In addition, they supplied them with pointless occupations to somewhat try and help the Irish people. But while in Ireland, people were also heavily persecuted for being Catholic, while the majority of British people were Protestant. Therefore, the O'Briens' wish is to have these great possibilities that America offered, so they decided to make the journey. They applied for a license, and their request was granted. After selling their possessions, they bought tickets for the steerage for their small family and prepared themselves to leave their home and arrive in America. They arrived at the port in Liverpool, one of the main ports these immigrants used, and it was filled with people. They finally got situated in their little spot in the steerage area and soon realized that it would be a long journey. They went through 6 weeks of sickness, sleeplessness, and poor sanitation to finally arrive in America. Common diseases, such as cholera and typhus, spread around ships and killed 7,000 Irish immigrants on board. Some hardships other immigrants faced were shipwrecks, fires, and shortage of food and water. When they departed from the ship on Ellis Island, they were pushed along through the building until they got to the medical examinations. The O'Brien family passed their exams and were permitted into the United States. Once they arrived in America, they decided to stay in New York because of all the jobs it offered. Many people of Irish descent went to Pennsylvania near Philadelphia, and other people went to places like Boston. They usually remained in port cities. Since the Irish were extremely desperate, they worked unskilled jobs like millwork, factory work, and in canneries. They also did lots of grueling construction work. The expansion of railroads also provided Irish immigrants with jobs, such as the building of the Transcontinental Railroad. Even though they had jobs, the lives of these immigrants were still difficult. They weren't from America, therefore nativists persecuted them greatly for their differences, especially in religion, which meant they had little support and were out on their own. Luckily for them, they knew how to speak English, and they came in great numbers, which made it harder for them to be discriminated against. Eventually, they began to develop important positions as the Irish began to assimilate into American culture. Many Irish immigrants grew to have important jobs, such as Louis H. Sullivan, who was known as the father of the skyscraper, and Alexander T. Stewart, who invented the American department store. It was not easy, and the O'Briens had to work many jobs, including their son's job running errands, just to get by. The O'Briens persevered through these conditions and eventually assimilated into America. Mr. O'Brien went from working in a factory to owning a business. His son went from being teased for his differences to being accepted by his peers, and they moved out of their tenement and into a nicer apartment building. Despite the troubles they had faced, they were happy to be in America.